Suave on the track.
Whatever it takes. The leeway.
Coco, this your season right now.
They won't see me. They won't let me hear. I gotta sleep with one eye open, tripping, making me nervous. I take a piss, my hand on the strap. I know the odds wanna murder. I got a feeling deep my stomach, paranoid, yeah. I won't let them, yeah. They won't see me, yeah. I gotta sleep with one eye open, tripping, making me nervous. I take a piss, my hand on the strap. I know the odds wanna murder. I got a feeling deep my stomach, paranoid, yeah. I can't let them, yeah. They won't see me, yeah. I put attention, all in my blood, all in my veins. They started with perky, now that hair by numb is veins. You started with serving, now them drugs drove you insane. Started with dealing, I grew up with killers, they taught me the game. I got some niggas that die behind, and that shit won't never the same. I know some niggas that lie behind, and that bullet had his name. Ain't no reason to cry about, cause that shit won't never change. MTF the 4th and P, my niggas can't get out the game. I gotta sleep with one eye open, tripping, making me nervous. I take a piss, my hand on the stern. I know the odds wanna murder. I got a feeling deep my stomach, paranoid, yeah. I won't let them, yeah. They won't see me, yeah. I gotta sleep with one eye open, tripping, making me nervous. I take a piss, my hand on the stern. I know the odds wanna murder. I got a feeling deep my stomach, paranoid, yeah. I can't let them, yeah. They won't see me, yeah.
Lost, see, I glossed through and shit ain't been the same. Heard the ops talking to the feds, giving names. Who gon' feed my family if they take me out the game? Keep one in the head and one eye open, that ain't change. I'm quick to catch a body. When I shoot, he shoot, I know bro shooting right beside me. Them hollow tips go through the wall and then they hit his body.
My situation for what it was. You know, I didn't look at my life like it was a movie. I had to look at all the moving parts. So the way I could really understand what it was. You know, they say love make you blind. Yeah. I'm introverted. I don't talk to niggas cause I'm constantly serving. I got a trap on top of my bed, I got a murder. Echoes on the block, the streets wanna murder. This shit come with burdens. The streets wanna murder. Streets wanna murder. I told you that this thing of ours, it come with burdens. This shit come with burdens. This shit come with burdens. This shit come with burdens. Paint the city red. All the shit I seen replaying in my head. Heard the streets talking, so we called them boys instead. Block wanna murder and they call when of the feds. And I pray they would, yeah. But it was right, but really, niggas was crooked.
Tap in, Aborigines. Tap in. All Aborigines tap in.
I know the streets listen when I talk. I can't abuse it. I can't abuse it. Oh no, I can't abuse it. I don't talk to niggas cause I'm constantly serving. I got a trap on top of my bed, I got a murder. Head goes on the block, the streets wanna murder. This shit come with burden. I'm introverted. I don't talk to niggas cause I'm constantly serving. I got a trap on top of my bed, I got a murder. Head goes on the block, the streets wanna murder. This shit come with burdens. The streets wanna murder. Streets wanna murder. I told you that this thing of ours, it come with burdens. This shit come with burdens. This shit come with burdens. Yeah, baby, you know why I get it.
See my license been in motion, I'm a little windy. I'm not giving up yet. If you with me, time to place up your bet. Ain't no turning back, got niggas who ran. When we caught his ass, got caught in that jam. Yeah, you know who I am. Yeah, you know who I am. I can feel it coming. I can feel it coming. It's that feeling in your stomach, you can feel it coming. It's that feeling in your stomach, you can feel it coming. Yeah, you can feel it coming. Fake love, that snake you in your face, love. That snake you in your face, love. I told my brothers we gon' make it, that's how God wrote it. And the snake gon' show his face, cause that's how God wrote it. Too much fake love, that snake you in your face, love. That snake you in your face, love. I told my brothers we gon' make it, that's how God wrote it. And the snake gon' show his face, cause that's how God wrote it. Too much fake love, that snake you in your face, love. That snake you in your face, love. I told my brothers we gon' make it, that's how God wrote it. And the snake gon' show his face, cause that's how God wrote it.
Shout out to all the American Aborigines in the building. Make sure you hit that like button. It's your brother Aboriginal Power. You're tuned into another way. Yeah. Make sure you hit that like button. Good to see y'all family up in here. That like button. Drop a fire emoji if you can hear me.
Yeah, rhyme so dope, my eyes low. When you move like God, the time slow. I came back for the blacks and John Doe's. Crack open them land patents, let go of them townhomes. What's a native to a native? $5 dough if he not melanated. Pale faces got you waiting on a savior. Sending prayers up, he texting back on vacation. Yeah, God's children. Give all your praise to Jesus, but how God feeling? He say put no one before him in divine image. It's you with God or Christians. I got a vision, but niggas ain't gotta listen, so they don't. We came from the soil, wasn't fucking with no boats. Bible took our spirit, English plotted on our homes. Tribal families turned on us, don't act like y'all don't know. But fuck them and they grudges. We was something turned to nothing. And now we nothing's turned to somethings. Reincarnation of ancients, fresh up out the oven. This the message to the black man. 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 Shooters on my roof, lawyers in the coop. We can never die, bitch, we bulletproof. This the message to the black man. This the message to the black man. Say you wasn't slaves, you was prisoners of war. You stop wasting your time, these other bitches ain't important. You ain't meditating, you ain't mating with the source. Like what the fuck's a noodle if you ain't painted with the sauce? I find it hard to trust the pastor who rather side with the master, who preaching we should submit while getting murdered and captured. About how we should wait on God is never our vernacular. They get
Suave on the track.
Whatever it takes.
Make sure you hit that like button as y'all come in. It's very important for my family to come in.
Coco, this your season right now.
Cash out, PayPal, got all the rules. Got all
They
the
won't see me. They won't let me care. I gotta sleep with one eye open. Church been making me nervous. I take a piss, my hand on the strap. I know the eyes wanna murder. I got a feeling deep my stomach. Paranoid, yeah. I won't let them, yeah. They won't see me, yeah. I gotta sleep with one eye open. Church been making me nervous. I take a piss, my hand on the strap. I know the eyes wanna murder. I got a feeling deep my stomach. Paranoid, yeah. I can't let them, yeah. They won't see me, yeah. I put attention, all in my blood, all in my veins. They started with perky, now that hair by numb is veins. You started with serving, now them drugs drove you insane. Started with dealing, I grew up with killers, they taught me the game. I got some niggas that die behind, and that shit won't never the same. I know some niggas that lie behind, and that bullet had his name. Ain't no reason to cry about, cause that shit won't never change. MTF the 4th and P, my niggas can't get out the game. I gotta sleep with one eye open, church been making me nervous. I take a piss, my hand on the stern. I know the eyes wanna murder. I got a feeling deep my stomach. Paranoid, yeah. I won't let them, yeah. They won't see me, yeah. I gotta sleep with one eye open, church been making me nervous. I take a piss, my hand on the stern. I know the eyes wanna murder. I got a feeling deep my stomach. Paranoid, yeah. I can't let them, yeah. They won't see me, yeah.
Lost, see, I glossed too, and shit ain't been the same. Heard the ops talking to the
Peace and love to everybody in the building. We got 53 people in here and we only got 22 likes. Can we please get the likes up before we get started? We got to get these likes up to at least 40. I know it ain't that many goddamn haters in the building. Shout out to all my American Aborigine family. If you're watching this video, I appreciate y'all for tapping in. I hope you have a blissful grand rising. Like I said, we got 53 people in here. We have 29 likes. Can we get everybody that's in the building currently watching this to politely, respectfully run down and hit that like button, please? Shout out to everybody in the building. We got a part 2 from yesterday's build, the Untold Truths of Florida's Ancient History. We're going to get into part 2 of that. Shout out to everybody in the building, man. I want to make a special announcement here in a second, man. I do want to give a special shout out to everybody in the building. I want to say it's nothing but love. It's been nothing but love, positivity, unity, and harmony coming from this side. So I want to just leave y'all with that. Shout out to everybody in the building, man. Shout out to my brother Aboriginal TV. If you did not get to go purchase his lecture documentary on DNA, the dark side of DNA, make sure y'all go purchase that. Definitely worth the purchase. Definitely worth the purchase. We got to support each other, man. I can't even stress it enough how important it is for you guys to support the brothers and sisters that take their time out to put this content out. You may not be seeing them brothers again. You may not be seeing them brothers again. Speaking of not seeing again, I'm not going to be doing live streams as currently and as frequently and as consistent as I was in the past. You know, I go live almost every day. I'm going to be cutting my live streams down to 2 times a week, maybe just 1 time a week. Got a lot of things I got to take care of. Shout out to everybody in the building. Listen, we got 60 people in the building, only 38 likes. Can we get the likes up, please? Respectfully. I need everybody to hit the like button. It don't cost a thing. It's free. It's free 99. We should have 60 likes in here right now. We should have 60 likes in here last night. Fire bill last night. Yeah, it was a fire bill. Shout out to everybody in the building. Like I said, I'm not going to be doing live stream as frequently as possible. I'm going to be cutting back from doing live streams. So yeah, man, you know, I just want to lock in with you guys. So enjoy the content as I put it out, man. Hopefully you guys enjoy the content that I put out. I got almost 1,000 live streams and videos that I've put out over the course of 5 years. Over the course of 5 years, I put out 200 videos per year, according to the math. So yeah, shout out to everybody in the building. Shout out to everybody in the building. 2023 is going to be an interesting year. Absolutely. We stepped into the next phases of things. We're trying to manifest things in real points. So like I said, I just wanted to leave y'all with this. It's always appreciation from me to you guys. I always appreciate the love, the respect, and the work that you guys put in. You know what I'm saying? That I'm able to implement to you guys. So I appreciate that. I appreciate you guys. I just want to leave y'all with that. I do want to give a special shout out to everybody that is in the building, especially the brothers and sisters that's not able to comment. So I want to say shout out to you guys. Make sure y'all be safe as y'all make your daily commute. I also want to take the time out to shout out some of the brothers and sisters that have taken their time out to comment in the chat. So let me shout out to some of the brothers and sisters. Shout out to D3D. Shout out to Anthony Lowe, Latrell Tinwell, Truthful, Yanetta Ya, Karma Shabazz, the real mother of nature, Mountain City Mellow, Ty X Jordan, Anthony Lowe, Copper Color Goddess, Lou Evergrass Roots, Gary Carter, Leonidas, Samantha White, Mother of Dragons, Son of California, The Ancient One, Eastside 1415, Rodney Lewis, House of Nathan, my big sister, Chicken Harmony Roots. Good to see you and her sister. Bronze Flat Power, the New Orleans native, Fact Checker TV. Good to see y'all. Craig and Hoyt in the building. Appreciate y'all. Like I said, man, y'all won't be seeing too much of Big Al, man. I'm cutting down as of 2023. I will only be doing 1 live stream a week. I will only be doing 1 live stream a week. So please take heed. Enjoy the content while it's around. Support the brothers and sisters while they're still around. Make them feel appreciated. Make them feel like it's worth it. A lot of us been putting in this work for free for a long time, putting in a lot of work, a lot of time, a lot of hours. I don't even know if you guys understand how many 900 videos is. And 75% of those videos are over an hour to 2 hour bills. Some of them going up towards 8 to 11 hour bills. I got almost 23,000 hours. Well, I take that back. I got almost 19,000 hours dedicated to Aboriginal information, science, archaeology, anthropology, and the restoration of history. So, I appreciate you guys, man. So make sure you support the channel. Cash out and PayPal information at the bottom of the screen. I don't want to hold you guys off any longer. We're going to get into part two to what we came here for. Shout out to everybody in the building. Shout out to everybody in the building. So if you can hit that like button, respectfully, hit that like button, thumb up the video. And if you enjoy my time and content, support the channel. It's very important for you guys to support the channel. How can you support the channel? Cash App and PayPal information. Moderators, drop that Cash App and PayPal information for the brothers and sisters that do want to take the time out and support the channel and, send a donation. Let Big Aboriginal Power know that they appreciate his time and content. Shout out to everybody in the building. Let's get straight to the audio.
Not from America. Their not-so-native manner of dress, ambiguous ethnicity, and ability to antagonize the United States government have had historians scratching their hollow heads for almost a century. The history of this so-called tribe may hold many keys to understanding what we today call Tartaria. Now enjoy.
Welcome.
In the state seal of Florida, there is a Seminole woman.
Up on fire emojis in the chat if you can hear it.
Seminoles, however,
loud and clear.
do not originate in Florida. For those who do not know, the Seminoles are not a proper tribe. Officially, they started as part of the Creek or Muskogee tribe, who were pushed out of their native territory around Oklahoma and relocated to Florida in the 1700s. The Creek and their subsequent Seminole descendants, prior to that time, were among what Europeans called the 5 civilized tribes. These 5 tribes were considered civilized for a few main reasons. They were as tall, if not taller than Europeans, dressed very fashionably, adopted new technologies, and even owned slaves, lots of slaves. The other 4 civilized tribes are often described as having fairer hair and lighter skin than indigenous Americans, whereas the Seminoles often had darker features than natives. The official explanation given for all the Seminoles' ethnic mystery is simply runaway slaves. While this could account for the few seemingly African members of the tribe, it does not explain the presence of tribesmen who appear definitively North African, Arabic, Indian, or even Pacific. This explanation certainly does not explain the dozens of seemingly European members of the tribe either. The biggest mystery about the Seminoles, however, is their clothing. This tribe possesses a fashion like no other in the New World. The Seminoles certainly adopted runaway slaves into their ranks, a fact used to dismiss their obviously North African dress. But when we look at their forefathers, the Creek, who allegedly owned black slaves themselves, we see the same alien style of dress. Are we really going to believe that in a matter of years, Seminoles went from being light-skinned, fair-haired slave owners to being a largely dark-skinned band of anti-establishment slave sympathizers? All the while dressed in a manner that can only be described as Tartarian. It doesn't seem plausible. Allow me to propose a more believable chain of events, one that can reasonably explain the presence of a half-North African, half-Celtic group of people in the southeastern United States. When Christopher Columbus, who was actually Jewish, departed from Spain in 1492, the Spanish had literally just expelled the last of the Moorish invaders. These Moors, who ranged from white-skinned Persians to black-skinned Nubians, had been in possession of the Iberian Peninsula since the 8th century and introduced Moorish architecture and culture to Spain and Portugal. Prior to the Moors, Iberia was inhabited by Celtic peoples who would be indistinguishable from the modern Irish. It is no coincidence that we find both North African and Celtic influence in the clothing of the Seminoles. Nor is it a coincidence that we find Florida littered with glorious examples of Old World Moorish architecture. Back to Spain, 1492. When the Spanish expelled the Moors, they then expelled the Jews, Columbus being one of them. This fact was totally covered up after his expulsion turned out to be so profitable for the crown. Regardless, when considering Columbus's patronage from the Catholic crown despite his being a Jew, the complete lack of a plan for his voyage, and with the Moors being in full retreat, some historians have theorized Columbus was pursuing, not exploring. If this is the case, Columbus would have followed the Moors across the Atlantic to their strongholds in the Americas. After all, the meaning of the word Seminole can be interpreted as either runaways or original or first. Assuming our history has indeed been altered, this is a far more likely origin of the Seminoles. Honestly, where on earth did Native Americans learn to dress like that? And why did the Spanish spend so much time in Florida when they knew there was no gold? Now that a connection has been established between the Moors and the Seminoles, we should consider the Seminole Wars. Countless Old World limestone structures in Florida were destroyed by the Seminoles in the mid-1800s during a period labeled the Seminole Wars. The U.S. government spent more money and resources fighting the Seminoles than any other conflict with natives in the nation's history. Officially, this war was fought between a modern military and a group of ragtag bandits. So why the outrageously high cost? And why the destruction of dozens of limestone structures all across Florida? It begs the question, were the Seminoles doing the destroying or the ones being destroyed? After all, they were never actually defeated. They accepted terms of peace with America, but allegedly never signed a true peace treaty and remain unconquered. Interestingly, despite all the bloodshed and propaganda, Seminoles were actually viewed very positively by Floridians, becoming the state's most popular folk heroes, and allegedly they resisted Catholicism more than any other tribe. All this history, yet not a single Hollywood film has been made about the natives of Florida, Seminole or not. One more bit of information. Chief Osceola is the most renowned and well-known of all Seminole chiefs. His name translates to black drink, the name of a native Floridian hallucinogenic brew. This black drink has an extensive history in Florida as a ceremonial beverage of many tribes. His birth name, however, was Billy Powell. He was of Scottish and Creek descent.
See, that's the bullshit right there. They showing you all these images of Seminoles and shit. This is bullshit. This is bullshit. We know that these people in them areas was Negroes. I can't allow him to insert as if they was European or Scottish. You can't say that the places of Garden of Eden and say that everybody came there. Shout out to Rodney Lewis for the $5 Cash App donation. Bridging that fire ass like always. You already know, bro. Building them bridges, bro. Shout out to Craig Lloyd for the $2 Cash App donation. Shout out to Tanya Jackson as well for the Cash App donation. Also, shout out to Sadie's for the Cash App donation. She said, keep up the good work. Absolutely, sister. I appreciate y'all for coming in. I appreciate the support. Real talk. Humbly, I really do, man. Shout out to Tanya, Craig, Rodney Lewis, and Sadie's. Shout out to everybody in the building. Shout out to Jay the Informant, Rashad, Shy Alpha, D Allen. I see everybody in the building. Shout out to everybody. Make sure y'all drop them fire emoji if y'all can hear and see everything loud and clear. I just want to add in, like, these are not Europeans that he's talking about. These are not pale skin.
His birth name, however, was Billy Powell. He was of Scottish and Creek descent. Chief Osceola was captured in the midst of the Seminole Wars while under protection of a white flag truce. This event is often referred to as one of the most disgraceful acts in American military history, and I couldn't agree more.
So in other words, they set my nigga Osceola up. They set my nigga Osceola talking about they waving the white flag. He come down to accept the white flag, you know what I mean, situation, and they bum rush my boy. You see how they do you? I know y'all done been tricked before by these colonizers. Told you to come in somewhere, or you show up to one of these pale skinned courts where they done drug you to and kidnapped you and under threat and coercion force you to go to, and then they set you up. A lot of our brothers done went through this. Moderators, tell the family to hit that like button. Drop them fire emojis in the chat. And family, please, let's get these likes up. We got 117 people in here. We got 80 likes. Let's get these likes up, family. All these motherfucking people he's showing you is not pale skin. These are not pale skin ass people, man. That's what I want to let y'all know, man. These are not pale skin ass people. These are Negroes. We know who the Seminoles was. We know who the fuck the Seminoles was. Florida got a lot of history that they don't talk about. You know, I'm here to talk about it. You know, we're not going to shy away. We're going to talk about the untold history of Florida. We have no reason to bullshit around. Let's get right into this fire ass bill we got lined up for you guys. I got some more audio and visuals for you guys. Hit that like button, thumb up the video. Support the channel, man. Let's get it. Let's get it. Let's get it. Shout out to everybody in the building, by the way. Hit that like button. Let's get right into the history of Miami.
Ancient Miami. Miami and its surrounding areas can be counted among those great cities of the Old World. Though Miami has always been romanced with references to Atlantis,
New Orleans is
the
the next
city's
spot I'm
prevalence
going
of
next.
cymatic limestone architecture, its proximity to the Bermuda Triangle, and its unexplained Irish-Indian flag all point to a Tartarian connection as well. The views expressed in this video do not necessarily reflect my own. Now enjoy.
Now listen, we're gonna get into another set class of information right here, man. I need y'all to pay very close attention to what's going on right now. I need y'all to pay very, very close attention, you guys. We're gonna get into the untold history of Florida. It's not what you think it is. The history of Florida goes back, and like I said, we'll be doing New Orleans next. After I get done with New Orleans, I believe I'm gonna do Mississippi or Alabama. So y'all just be on the lookout for that. I plan on coming to Rec Shop. I'm trying to get a lot of these done before the end of the year, because I'm only gonna be doing 1 to 2 live streams a week, starting this 2023. So make sure y'all support the channel, man. Support the channel. The real support the real. We got 136 people in here. Can we get 120 likes, man? Can we get 120 likes?
Tenochtitlan was.
All right, let's get right into it, man. Let's get right into it. Get right into it. Let's go.
That's pretty small, but you get the idea, right? These are old maps.
Can you pull and scroll in so it makes it bigger? There you go.
Excuse me, I'm gonna be doing Louisiana, not just New Orleans.
Yeah,
we're gonna be
you get the
touching
idea.
all
So
of Louisiana.
Read enough
And some of the historical understanding of life history of New Orleans.
Here, right? Mm-hmm. And Tenochtitlan was a city before Ponce de Leon arrived. Mm-hmm. Although he didn't go to this part of Mexico, before Cortez. And as someone who studied Florida like yourself long ago, and you've probably seen some old pictures of Tenochtitlan, but it was described as the Venice of Mexico.
Right.
All the streets were paved. All those buildings were hewn stone.
Yeah, I don't know if y'all was in here for the show the other day. I told everybody that I will be doing a breakdown of all 50 states, including Hawaii. I will be doing a breakdown of all 50 states. All 50 states. Starting off with Florida, we'll be doing Louisiana next, Alabama, Mississippi, and then so forth and so on. So just stay tuned. We will be covering your state soon.
The ships traveling in here were monstrous. I unfortunately couldn't find the map, but I have an old map where all of the outer cities here are star forts.
Right.
So, and then not only that, but I will get into the article a little farther down, but Atlantis comes from two phrases that are Spanish, which again, you can trace all the Spanish roots to Arabic. Mm-hmm. Arabic's kind of like this foundation that's been lost. A lot of these old articles will describe.
You can track down Arabic language to Algonquin language. And you can track down Algonquin or Arabic language being connected with Islamic culture. You can find the origins of Islamic culture found in Mexico. The origins of where Islam started from came from Mexico. I will be doing a build on that later on to explain that. So don't let me forget that, you guys. Shout out to everybody in the building too, by the way, man. Can I get everybody to support the channel? Can I get everybody to when you get into the Caribs, you get into the Arabs, the Caribbean, the Arabians. That's a whole nother note. Shout out to Shy Alpha for that drop. Don't give them too much today. Shout out to everybody in the building, man. If you're enjoying this live stream, can I get everybody to drop a fire emoji in the chat, please? If you can see everything loud and clear, drop a fire emoji in the chat. Shout out to Diamond in the building. Carbon Crowns is in the building. Ezel in the building. Shout out to everybody that's tuning in. Such a lady. Good to see you in here. Godma in here. Blank Currency in the building. Wakandi EIE Menguzi, my Delaware native. You want to know? She crazy overstanding. Took for granted. Good to see you in here. Took for granted. And Jacquees James. Shout out to everybody that's in here that I have not had the ability to shout out yet. So let's get right into it, you guys.
the Native Americans and their Hebraic relations, but really Hebrew is just Arabic.
Okay.
And Latin
Right.
is just inverted Arabic.
Okay.
So if you freehand Arabic and you literally just flip it, there's Latin.
Wow.
So the inversions
So
of
true.
Rome become pretty obvious, and the covering stuff that you've talked about with Florida, and it goes into Mexico, and it goes all across America.
Did you hear that?
From Alaska to Florida. Alaska.
Let's run that back. If you was to write, freehand write with your own pen and pencil, write Arabic, and then you turn that paper around, the image that you see in reverse or mirrored is Latin. Arabic is Latin in reverse, in backwards form. I just want to say that in mirror
The
form.
Native Americans and their Hebraic relations, but really Hebrew is just Arabic.
Okay.
And Latin
Right.
is just inverted Arabic.
Okay.
So if you freehand Arabic and you literally just flip it, there's Latin.
Wow.
So the inversions
So
of
true.
Rome become pretty obvious, and the covering stuff that you've talked about with Florida, and it goes into Mexico, and it goes all across America, from Alaska to Florida. Alaska is an Arabic word. Alaska is just like Alabama.
Everything. You're right. Every al, pretty much.
Yeah.
Al, or even els or atolls.
Exactly. And the natives of Alaska, they have Arabic names, and their bone carving is very Arabic, and you can find Arabic coins in Alaska. I sent you that article about that petrified ship they found in Alaska in the 1800s, 1,200 feet long ship.
Yep.
I mean, anyway,
So-
we'll get back on track here. Go ahead.
Can I just wanted to give you that's a very interesting take, because I've always said that this kind of Phoenician or Finnish first runic language, right?
Mhm.
Runic would also be Punic,
Yeah, of course.
right? So you have Phoenician and Finnish, Punic and Runic. You have those two, and I've always said that is like the masculine standardized text.
Straight lines.
That was like the mercantile
Yes.
language that was interphased. Wherever they went, they could teach it to anybody because it's a phonetic language. So they could teach it on the spot to anybody that was smart enough to learn. And like you're saying, the script seemed to, in my opinion, and Arabic is almost always in script, right?
Mhm. And very elegant.
It's feminine. It's
Yeah.
clearly feminine in
Very.
nature. So I would wager this is almost more like it's, how would I say it? It's almost like endearing language. It's not official business. It would be religious
Correct.
terminology. It would
100%.
be musical terminology. It would be poetic, right? And we have lost that. And it's almost like they're trying to take that away from us, where we only have one form of expression with language. Because people say, oh, is English bad? Is spelling bad? Well, it can't be bad. It's just that we're missing the complete other half, the script. We stopped learning cursive. And what is cursive?
Right. Let's get into that. When you recite the Quran or Arabic, it sounds like you're singing. And it goes back to being poetic literature and feminine, almost aesthetic sound of harmony. It's almost in song form, the way you recite the Quran.
Bad. Well, it can't be bad. It's just that we're missing the complete other half, the script. We stopped learning cursive. And what is cursive? You know, cursive, right?
Yeah. Yeah, it's just like, like he was speaking of with grimoires and stuff, that, grammar is just the grimoire and spelling is just what you're casting. This probably something we won't go too deep into here, but going back with what I was saying about having a pretty big obsession with language, and phonetics is part of that. But when you take it to an alchemical level, right, you start thinking about you're spelling your grimoire into the ether, and the ether
Hey, let's be clear about this. We got 150 people in here. Can we get these likes up? Can we get 30 more likes in the building? If you're enjoying this channel, if you're enjoying the content of the Untold Truths of Florida's Ancient History, Part 2, then drop a fire emoji in the chat. Let your brother Big Aboriginal Power know that you're enjoying the live stream. Also, if you want the father saying verification, man, hey, you can always support the channel. How can you support the channel? Cash App and PayPal. All that information is ticking across at the bottom of the screen. So let's continue this thing out, man. Drop on fire emojis. You can hear and see everything.
And this goes into thought forms and egregores. That why social media is so important is because it steers that ether, what's being projected into the ether, which essentially is, we're in a system where we're co-creating everything. And steering the mass consciousness is key because that's essentially how you're going to produce the future. And yeah, what you're saying is I agree with completely. All of the Arabic poets basically said that all the gods are poets, that the original gods are poets, and it's all Arabic. And what you're saying, and I agree with completely, that phonetics and Phoenicia, where people get it twisted. In that article that I first sent you, where you were joking around about how you didn't have time to read a whole article, that was from a group of people that basically went on to become like your Shriners, but it was a different name in the 1800s.
Right.
And that article was just describing how everyone has it wrong and what Phoenicia really was. Phoenicia was a secret society of merchants. Mm-hmm. So what you said, I agree with completely. Phonetics is created language that merchants used to become more efficient trading throughout the world. So, and what they were saying in this article was that, and this is great because we'll get into the Q thing a little bit. In this article, what they were saying was that it's a secret society and that there were ranks, and you didn't get a ship and you didn't become a captain until you reached the highest level, which was called the Q. So the highest rank in the Phoenician order was Q. And what that was, it was called the eye of the needle. So you can see the Q with the eye or the slash.
Right, like an egg getting fertilized almost.
And what else? A compass.
Okay.
And what moves a compass? Magnetism. Mm-hmm. Magnetism is everything. We'll get into this a little bit in this article. Lodestones, Ben stones, whatever you want to call them. You had one in your arm.
No, I did not do the build with Captain Tazariak last night. I will be doing the build with Captain Tazariak Thursday, Friday evening. We will be doing a conversation with Captain Tazariak and Katazar again. I'm looking forward to doing that, man. Shout out to everybody in the building, man. I'm going to say peace and love to everybody in the building. Make sure you hit that like button. I will be dropping the link if anybody want to come on and challenge. Let's get it.
Article or your video. It was sitting in the water, I think in Tampa.
Yeah, and Umphalos stone.
Thank you.
Is what I was calling it.
Yeah. Every culture has a different name for it. Mm-hmm. But they're all lodestones. Meteorite, aerolite, whatever you want to call them. But every religious culture worshipped them. They were living entities. Where was I? I apologize.
Well, and it's almost like they held up the sky, and they assisted in keeping the seasons temperate, and
oh man,
that's how I've always looked at it. Is like there's the Mount Meru.
Oh man,
at the center, that's the Atlas stone that's keeping the sky even, and we might not be so even right now, basically, because we've knocked all the fucking stones over and thrown them away, and now we're in the wobble, the 66.6 degree wobble.
Yeah, I love it. Yeah, I have articles on this, but that's a perfect jumping off point because. So going back to what we were talking about with trees, right, and how they planted trees on top of graves. So in China, they had a similar, and Japan. They had a similar belief. But what did they do? They didn't plant a tree. They built a pagoda. And in the pagoda, they had giant pearls and porcelain and magnets. So lodestones, porcelain, and pearls, like giant pearls. We're talking huge bowling ball sized pearls. So you can imagine the size of the clam to make a bowling ball sized pearl. And the religion or the belief, right, of feng shui comes from the same group of people. And how do they describe it? They said what you just said. They said it created peace, tranquility, and perfect seasons. And it steered away storms. Just like what you said. So yeah, I agree. And magnetism, you know, I'm a big fan of astrotheology, and I'm spacing his name, which is embarrassing, but I know you don't know.
Santos.
Yeah. Santos. And you know, what is the toroid? You know, all is the torus, and it's all magnetism. And in the 1700s, they were doing all these crazy experiments on aerolites. And it was really nuts. Basically, they were saying that the same thing that creates intellect and thought and consciousness is exactly the same thing that creates the lodestone or the magnetic stone. The needle, the obelisk in New York, Central Park, in the 1800s, a writer deciphered it. And he said that it tells the story that the Egyptians came here to our realm on a lodestone and landed in Mexico.
Wow. So
or Florida.
Okay. If I can jump in here, I wanted to say this earlier when you're showing the ringland around Teotitlan.
Yeah,
how do you say
Tenochtitlan. It's Mexico City.
Yeah. You have you know, the biggest giveaway that the Atlantis area was the Gulf of Mexico is probably that. The Gulf of Mexico was pretty much like a ring, a perfect bay, with Florida being the breakwater. Florida was the breakwater to the bay, to the inlet, and it had this perfect in exactly the Straits of Florida coming in with that warm Gulf Stream that pretty much fertilizes.
Now let's get into this a little bit, because in this particular area that we call the Gulf of Mexico, you have Cuba over here. You have Cuba that sits right here, and it goes into this particular area. Sits right here in this area, going into the Gulf of Mexico. You know what they have found right there? They found a 50,000-year-old pyramid that is totally submerged underwater. I bet y'all like, so what? It's up underwater. Well, either they built the pyramid underwater, or they built the pyramid when it was less water there, when it was no water there. And scientists has estimated, doing oceanography, has came up with the conclusion that water has not been at levels that low to build for at least 50,000 years. So the pyramid that's up under that water is at least 50,000 years old.
This perfect in exactly the Straits of Florida coming in with that warm Gulf Stream that pretty much fertilizes the world especially during the resets. That's the stream of life. It's almost like the umbilical cord of the planet, right? That hot water that keeps everything alive. And you have the Chicxulub crater.
Yeah.
I don't know how to say it.
I can't either.
You're almost right. Yeah.
I know what you're talking about.
So that pretty much is one of the biggest impact craters, oldest, biggest, that they believe may even, they say might be the one that took out the dinosaurs. I don't know what else they say about it. But you have that landing down right there on the tip of the Yucatan. The Maya were allegedly restricted to the Yucatan, which is so silly to swallow that story, because it doesn't make sense. Florida probably came down a lot more. The Yucatan probably came up a bit higher, and of course the sea levels were probably lower, right? So you have this perfect bay, which you may have even had a another circle within a circle inside of.
Definitely.
So it makes complete sense.
Yeah, and like I've been postulating to you, I believe that the Yucatan and Florida are completely man-made.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that this is your Atlantis. I mean, you've talked enough about this. Having someone that knows what limestone really is half the battle. You can't really talk about biogeology with someone who really doesn't have some grasp on geology. And as soon as they do, you really can poke holes on a lot of things. And Florida is one of them, and the Yucatan is one of them.
Mm-hmm.
Geologists in the 1800s were saying this is the weirdest place. It's like totally flat. Only specific things are growing here. It almost seems like there was like a seed vault released because it's growing very distinct things that are not found anywhere else in the world, just like Florida.
Or like Madagascar is almost like
Madagascar is the same thing. It's limestone.
Lemuria.
It's flat with a few man-made mounds.
With all the kapok trees.
Exactly. And the
Giants,
trees, as we've talked about, are everything. Knowing your trees, it's like Ogum. Knowing your trees, knowing your language, you start to really can decipher this stuff. Like history starts.
Tomorrow, I will finish up Florida with a part 3. We will be going into some of the ancient histories of Florida, connecting Atlantis to Florida. Also talking about the tree of life, or the great giant trees of this universe cut down in Florida. Some of the largest trees ever cut down, documented, was in Florida. We'll get to that on another note as well.
Especially when you're looking at it, like you were saying, from a feminine mother culture aspect, where we've gotten completely, on the other end of the spectrum now. And this is, I hope at the end of this, someone can go watch them.
Let's get a few people to support the channel, man. We about an hour in of this video. Let's get a few people to support the channel. If you're enjoying the live stream, please support the channel. We got 183 people in here. We got 142 likes. Can we get a few more likes in the building, family? Can we get a few more likes in the building, family?
The movie Avatar and really kind of get an idea of what we're really dealing with. Avatar is probably much closer to what the world was like during Atlantis, quote unquote, again.
Or Lord of the Rings.
Oh yeah, I have some articles that elaborate on that further. America's crisscrossed with giant walls, just like China, and there's an article in the 1800s. Go ahead, jump in.
Can I add real quick, because you really blew my mind with that stone. The reason I brought this up is because you mentioned Narco mentioned how this might have been closer over here. If you look, I mean, it could have been closer. If this wasn't underwater, it would be like how they say you could see Cuba from the tip of Florida, or Key West. You could.
Let's go back to that particular clip right there.
Would be like how they say you could see Cuba from the tip.
Boom. This is Cuba right here, pointing to the Gulf of Mexico. Now, they was talking about this symbol, talking about this ancient civilization, and it was in the form of a Q. It was a circle with a line going through it, or a circle with a snake going through it. And like we just mentioned, in the Gulf of Mexico, at one point in time, when you do your oceanography, this starts receding and getting a little tighter, and the circle forms a little more perfect. And this part of the land expands into the circle. This is the symbol that they're talking about. This is the Q. This is the Q that they were just mentioning of. And right here off the coast of Cuba, right here is where that pyramid lies. Directly in the line of the Gulf, directly at the borderline of the Gulf of Mexico. You have that underwater pyramid. Shout out to everybody in the building, man.
But Florida, or Key West, you can see Cuba. Well, the same thing. If they would have been out here, they could have seen that, whatever this was.
Pretty much
could have potentially been more land. So 100% that's possible. And the whole stone thing, you blew my mind with it, because I don't know what role mountains play into it, but the ziggurats, right? They were emulating the mountains. It was all about the. And I think you mentioned something about the mountains earlier, Longo, but you guys are going all over the place. I'm trying to keep up. But the emulation of mountains, because it was holy, right? It was a sacred thing for them. So that's why they made these structures. And it makes me think if they were trying to emulate these huge trees and all these things that you guys are talking about.
Almost like prosthetics, where this post-reset civilization is doing the best they can to, repair the network. And if that means a fucking 2,000-year-old tree's gone and you have to replace it with a marble tower, well, maybe that's what they do. And it's like
100%. Towers serve the same purpose. Absolutely.
We were talking about the in the bookstore, the show we did, basically about phantom limb syndrome and how that is like a crucial kind of attitude that they have in masonry or Freemasonry, where a building has a kind of like an etheric exoskeleton.
Yeah,
right?
Photograph. Everything is living, even when it's gone.
Exactly. So when the buildings are gone, there's a need, there's a void, a vacuum, and it has to be filled. And that's why you'd see some cultures just fucking piling up shell the best they can, because they're just doing the best they can. Whereas a more capable society might erect, a Tower of Babel or something like that.
And what you're saying is where I got that from was from this book, G.L. Hersey. He is one of my favorite authors, and the Pythagorean palaces, it's just that where they tried to emulate this higher dimension within this architecture. So everybody focuses on how magnificent the architecture is and how were they able to do it and all this. I want to know the purpose of that architecture for it being that way. I believe that these buildings, especially during the Renaissance era, they were used as talismans. We're talking about the astrological alignments. These ziggurats were placed in certain places in order to invoke these energies from the astral plane or whatever it is, the celestial bodies, the same way that they use these type of buildings to do the same thing. They were used as talismans to invoke certain energies or something. And it goes back to the whole Freemasonic thing of, Hiram, what's his name?
Hiram
Abiff, that guy, where you have Solomon in there. They revere Pythagoras a lot because again, it's all about the building, but not only building the physical building with the masonry, but the astral, what I call astral buildings or the cosmic architecture, whatever you want to refer to it as, but the architecture in this other realm that they try to emulate. Again, it goes back to as above, so below, because they're trying to emulate that more divine dimension, if you will. That more, they say that at least the Neoplatonics, they were talking about how this realm is a reflection of a more perfect realm. So this one is the theory of forms and all that good stuff. But that's what really makes my nipples hard when you start talking about like interdimensional stuff and emulating and encapsulating higher levels of consciousness within these buildings, and only the initiate is able to see it, right? That's why I tell people, Fulcanelli talked about it, where these cathedrals were alchemical writings, alchemical texts. They were using the pictures to talk to people, but only the initiated were able to see it. If you aren't initiated, then you can't understand the language. It's literally an entire different language when you learn the symbolism. And I think that's one of the most important things when it comes to all this. And architecture is important when it comes to magical purposes. So,
yeah, 100%.
Speaking of language, let's get into some of these.
Yeah.
So long, however you want to pronounce it.
Interesting. That's very interesting. Yeah.
So to make another
rings on rings, concentric rings.
Definitely. And man, I completely forgot where I was going to go with that. But
articles.
Yeah, I guess I could just.
What a rabbit hole we're in right now. This is crazy.
Oh yeah, it's fabulous. Language is so important, and
we'll have to. Sorry, we'll have to do a whole separate video. Get back together and do something on Tolkien.
We'll have to go on my show.
Absolutely.
I'll put this out on my show too, but I'm saying we'd have to do.
Tolkien's maps are a direct overlay of America.
Wow. See, I've never heard that.
I mean, again, I don't want to use the word. I don't want to be direct is the wrong word because it's not direct. But all of those lands, dragons were real, and America was known as the land of the Drake. Right? This is where Quetzalcoatl comes from. You know, not only was he the god of the air, death and rebirth through fire.
Sir Francis Drake, right?
Sir Francis Drake. I could go all day about just Drake and, you know, his purpose. And Queen Elizabeth, we're going to get into Queen Elizabeth and how she ties into old world Assyria, old world Egypt, old world Mississippi, right? The Nile is the Mississippi. The Gulf is the old world. Canada is Canaan. We can go on and on, right?
Wow.
But yeah, let's get back into the article here. Tolkien's amazing. It's all tied in. World of Warcraft, you know, I'm sure you know the game. But
dude, even Skyrim, even fucking Skyrim is OP with all this stuff.
The continent on the right hand side of the World of Warcraft map, when you flip it, it fits America literally perfectly. I'll get the article pulled up. I did a mirror of it. But yeah, it's all, again, going back to what you said about the ether. You know, why was Avatar such a hit? It's subconscious.
It speaks to us, yeah.
It speaks to us.
But again, it goes back to their cinemagicians where they want to emulate again the. It goes back to, I hate to keep bringing it back up, but the Renaissance, they modeled everything after man, right? The Vitruvian man. Vitruvius is the guy who, and he was a Pythagorean, and he's the one that talked about it. So of course they're going to emulate the perfect form, which is, I mean, it's sexist, but man, right? The shape of man. You have Leonardo with the whole thing, but they wanted to emulate that. So by emulating the world and you know the real stuff in a fictional, we're going back to transmutation, where they're transmuting fiction into reality in some sort of way. And I relate this to the Chariot card in the Crowley deck, where he's the Full Metal Alchemist, and that orb, you know, he's birthing reality into existence. But I'm not going to get into all that, but I'm just saying it all goes back to alchemy at the end of the day, and it's bananas. So they want to, of course, they're going to make a fake game world modeled after the real world, because again, it's that mirroring of realities in a way.
This Joseph Campbell, I mean, are you familiar? Yeah. So I mean, any Hollywood director, producer, cinematographer is going to know who he is, and they're going to base most of their stuff on him, because that's just the fundamental reality of the hero with 1,000 faces and archetypes. It's subconscious. It's just like the muse, you know. It seems kind of lost on the populace, but then it goes back to what we were talking about, you know, dealing with not just your third dimension but upper dimensions, and keeping everyone fixated on the lower dimension is really important, because it's just like taking the glasses off, you know, or red pill. I hate to use that term, but you get the idea. Once you become, you know, self-reliant on your information, everything changes. You can never go back. You know, once you hold yourself accountable for whatever it is you're eating, you're reading, you're watching, you know, it's all so important, and it really does craft not just the person but the society. And this goes back again. You mentioned Crowley, and I know you love Homunculus. Well, I mean, who wrote more about them than him? And his stuff is, you know, it's pretty uncomfortable subject once you get into what he was doing with them. But yeah, it's all wrapped up into the same thing, and we're dealing with things beyond our visible spectrum. But again, as most people are already aware, that's such a small fraction of what's really going on. But yeah, I'll get back into the articles here before I get to. Here's another picture of Tenochtitlan. And I'm just going to kind of summarize. Basically, he's going over what philosophers said and extrapolating on the runes. So Tenochtitlan. You guys familiar with the Olmecs? Kind of on a surface level, right? But to go another level, you were kind of already mentioning that people were drawn to areas and they just felt like they had to build some kind of monument or structure, right? Well, the Olmec, and this is where the story of consuming the flesh of Christ comes from. Well, what was Christ to the Olmec was mushrooms. So the Olmec in ceremony would consume mushrooms. And in the mushrooms, they could see the telluric currents or the ley lines of the earth. and they called it the serpent, or they referred to it also as Quetzalcoatl, but they didn't really have a name for it. And they would follow them until they.
I've been telling y'all the connection between the Olmec, the serpent dynasty, or science or knowledge, going all the way far north as Ohio to Hopewell community. Obviously, Serpent Mound being in Ohio. This has a Olmec culture connection.
And they called it the serpent, or they referred to it also as Quetzalcoatl, but they didn't really have a name for it. And they would follow them until they came to a conjunction where multiple lines, crossed each other. And that was where they would build a city or a monument or a structure of some kind. Wow. And all the major cities of Mexico follow this. And San Lorenzo, if you keep stacking concentric rings around Tenochtitlan, one of the rings is San Lorenzo, which is a city outside of Mexico City. And they called it one of the major cities of the Olmec. They found Olmec heads there, which Olmec heads in themselves are incredibly fascinating. Basalt is one of the hardest stones in the world.
You're right. Basalt is one of the hardest stones in the world. So the order to carve these high relief carvings into three-dimensional, very, very detailed facial phenotypes takes a very sophisticated science, and they would have had to use something that's much more stronger, harder, and durable than the stone that they're cutting. Hey, Kanan and Moore, I see you. Kanan Lynn Moore, I see you in the chat, man. Hit the link when I drop the link. You're more than welcome to come on. Drop some heat. Shout out to my brother, the Intentionist one. Shout out to Fact Check It TV. Shout out to everybody in the building, man. Shout out to all the American Indians and American Aborigines and FBA brothers and sisters that's tuning in. Make sure you share the live stream, hit that like button, thumb up the video. It's very important for you guys to thumb up the video, man. That lets Big Aboriginal Power know that y'all enjoying the live stream. And if you are enjoying the live stream, you want to show some appreciation, support the channel by sending a donation via Cash App or PayPal. The information is ticking across at the bottom of the screen. So shout out to everybody in the building, man. Let's continue this thing off properly.
Themselves are incredibly fascinating. Basalt is one of the hardest stones in the world. So to act like someone chiseled these rocks is a joke. Not only the fact that they come from hundreds of miles away, and what they think they just rolled them there, and that's total nonsense. Well, you study the Olmec enough. The Olmec don't call themselves Olmec. That's a name given to them by authors in the 1800s, 1700s. Mayan culture is just Olmec culture. They created the Mayan to separate two distinct peoples.
Somebody been listening to Big Aboriginal Power. Mayan culture is is Olmec culture. They're really explaining the same culture at different time frames, time periods. So at different time periods, they call these cultures Mayan, Olmec, Inca, etc. You understand what I'm saying? You understand what I'm saying? The reason the Olmecs disappeared is because they migrated farther north and settled in places like Georgia, South and North Carolina, Tennessee, Virginia, Kentucky, Missouri, and Ohio. And they even went far north as Philadelphia. As a matter of fact, King Tammany, Chief Tammany, is a direct descendant of the Olmecs. And as a matter of fact, they document that within certain documentations. We leave a paper trail. Olmecs did rituals and spiritual systems on a certain day. And not only did they do it on a certain day for thousands of years, certain documents that American government is based off on, Constitution, independence, expatriation. These things was done on the same days that Olmecs would have did their spiritual rituals on as well. So not only did we sign these contracts in physical form, we did it on a spiritual day to have a paper trail. Our ancestors was very sophisticated. Hit that like button, man, if you're enjoying the live stream.
By authors in the 1800s, 1700s. Mayan culture is just Olmec culture. They created the Mayan to separate two distinct people. So the Olmec called themselves the Z people, XI. And what's really interesting is you can trace.
They don't call themselves the Z people. They call themselves the Ki. See, people say it's Z because the Chinese expression of the word XI is usually in she or Z. But in the Olmec, Nuwato, Latin, Phoenician, or Arabic or Algonquin language, you will pronounce the XI as ki. So the XI will be ki. These are the key people. These are the XI, the KI, the key, the kiki, the kiki, the okiki, the kishas. You don't understand?
Group to China, where they become or already are the Z dynasty. And people like Buddha, remember Buddha's mother was Maya, the roots of Buddha.
Buddha come from the Americas. I've been telling y'all this. Whoever this guy is, he's listening to Big Aboriginal Power. That's just the facts. They need to get me on there because I explain more. Not only will I show you the cultural connections between Buddha, Maya, and the Americas, I will also show you that Olmec culture and figurines was already sitting and practicing what they will call Buddhism, sitting Indian style, interchanneling their chakras. You can see this depiction on all Olmec, on a lot of Olmec figurines. It goes back to the oldest one even found inside of a plumed serpent. Nobody said nothing about going on their platform, Canaan and more. They teaching my information. We've been dropped this. Yeah, you're right. They definitely need to come on this motherfucking platform. This platform is the hardest working platform in showbiz right now. You understand what I'm saying? Shout out to everybody in the building, man.
Already are the Z dynasty. And people like Buddha, remember Buddha's mother was Maya. The roots of Buddha exist in Mexico. The Olmec of the Z dynasty, this is going to get you your Mongolian phenotypes, where we're told the yellow races of today, but really the leading people in China and Japan pre 1500, 1400, 1300s were dark skinned. Confucius was a dark skinned person. All of the great philosopher types of China were black.
The people of Americas went over there to that region of China, Europe, Asia, Africa, and Mesopotamia, or the Fertile Crescent. And not only did we go to these places, we took things that we would have used here. You find various food crops from America. You find various animals from America. You find various cultural aspects of from America. And one of the biggest ones is civilization.
And you can trace these same people to Mexico. Okay. So essentially what this person is saying is that the stories the Mayans tell is that in some kind of catastrophe, right? We're told, and you went over.
Cannon and more, you should come on the panel and talk about it. A lot of the brothers and sisters don't know how to do that. Shout out to A1. Shout out to a lot of brothers and sisters that have. That's like 2015 work, 2016 work, Cannon and more.
Over this in your
2015, bro.
Atlantis didn't sink below the sea. It was the people that were there were killed or went somewhere else, and it was lost from sight or vision. It wasn't gone. And parts of it, maybe, certainly. Sea level rose. Basically, what he's talking about is translating that their stories, that the Phoenicians or whoever, it's Phoenicians, because remember, Phoenician is a relatively new term. To these people, they call them the sea people. But that's the thing with sea people is they were white, long-bearded sea people. You know, this could be your Helsinki types, right? Or you had, because the Phoenicians were
No, that's not true. You just didn't have, matter of fact, the Olmecs was known as seafaring people. You got pre-Toltec that's known as seafaring people. We're not talking about people. We're talking about regular. This guy on the right has a beard. This is pre-Toltec. This is pre-Toltec high relief carving out of wood or some type of jade, if I'm not mistaken. But look at him. He's a seafarer. These people were seafaring people. He had a beard and earrings and shit. My man had a beard. We don't want to hear that. We know the science already. We've been dropping that. You understand me? These wasn't pale skins.
But that's the thing with sea people is they were white,
They
long
wasn't
bearded
white.
sea people.
He's lying.
You know, this could be your Helsinki types, right? Or you had, because the Phoenicians were a whole conglomerate of people, it was everybody, just like Atlantis. There wasn't just one group of one phenotype. I hate using race. Skin color is a new thing. Well, one phenotype didn't exist. So that's why the person I believe is saying whoever. Anyways, they transfer the Aztecs from the east, which I think is Florida. It's not from Africa. You know, Mauritania and all those places in Africa that people keep theorizing, the Mediterranean, the Azores. That's been completely disproven. And again, that's my opinion. So they came from Florida, which is kind of what we've been talking about this whole time. And he goes into the different translations that come from the Mexican language. I've sent you this article, which I hate that it keeps doing that. But basically, this person shows that through the study of the Greek language, which we've talked a little bit about, but Greek and Roman and Latin, these are all inversions of languages that existed here. So that's going to be a hard pill for people to swallow. But European history is completely false, just like American.
I've been telling niggas this. Matter of fact, the Greek is the Creek nation. The Creek Indians, the Seminoles, the Muskogee, the emperor of the Creek nation was the emperor of Rome. Of Greek, was the king of Greek. Emperor Brim. You understand this? All these languages. Rome was in Virginia, man.
They're all inversions of languages that existed here. So that's going to be a hard pill for people to swallow. But European history is completely false, just like American history. Mm-hmm. So people that are stuck on the Greek language and all of these things, Etruscan history. Etruscans are Olmecs. They came from Mexico or the Americas. I don't want to just say Mexico, the Americas.
Etruscans are Olmecs that left out of America. Did you hear that? Share the live stream. Have I showed y'all literature from people from Central and North and South America going to the Eastern Hemisphere? And what nation's tribe is most notable for being the credible, oldest, and advanced peoples in Central America? Olmecs. He just told you that who the Olmecs was, man. I gotta start paying attention.
That's gonna be a hard pill for people to swallow. But
let's get
European history is completely false.
Video.
Just like
American
history. So people that are stuck on the Greek language and all of these things, Etruscan history. Etruscans are Olmecs. They came from Mexico, or so people that are stuck on the Greek language and all of these things, Etruscan history. Etruscans are Olmecs. They came from Mexico, or in history. Etruscans are Olmecs. They came from Mexico, or the Americas. I don't want to just say Mexico, the Americas, because they were in Peru, they were in Mexico, they were in all the way up into Alaska.
They was in Tennessee. They was
anyways, his translations, he goes into how
Alaska.
Can I read that one?
Oh, sure, absolutely.
Out loud?
Yeah, whatever you want.
The utility. Well, let's start from the top. The study of the Greek language. Extract from a lecture by Professor C.
I think it's Plato.
Plato. Okay. The utility
of
knowing the Greek
I've
language.
been saying this. Why don't these people talk about their history? And I've asked myself this with amongst a brother that they used to teach quality Aboriginal information. I asked him, why you don't teach about your peoples, bro? I asked Corey Mayo that, why you don't teach about your peoples, bro? He never talked about his conquistador, Nazi, Catholicism culture that he comes from.
Increases as the Greek nation regains its political standing. The gradual extension of Grecian sway over the territory once usurped by the Turks causes a greater interest to be felt by foreigners for the acquisition of that speech. We would, however, overlook mere motives of curiosity and adduce motives of solid mental utility in the study of Greek. Need I recall to your mind interminable array of Greek manuscripts and books whose thoughts belong to an ancient civilization? Let us confine in ourselves to one of these tangible data of Hellenic talent, but reason upon the language as upon a buidial, which the mind colors with such hues as suit the modern epoch to which we are slotted. There is sufficient sublimity in the fact that the Greek has survived the reek of nations to give in that language a title of dignity and grandeur.
Hey, UTLS. We don't need no nut hoarders or dick eaters. Corey Mayo can speak for herself. We don't need no black man speaking up for a foreigner that he don't take up for you. So, mind your business.
Sure. Of all languages, Greek is the only one which has been a prominent medium of thought in all the great revolutions of the globe. Even in America, where freedom led the Anglo-Saxon form of democracy, the Greek tongue was called upon to disperse its terms and resources of popular technicality. The word commonwealth was not sufficiently consecrated by popular progress. The term republic was not. You want to finish it off? It's a little hard.
Was not sufficiently consecrated by popular progress. The term republic was not the ultimate tool of liberty's utopia, but the word democracy, redolent with Athenian and Spartan worth, was the index of the Buell ideal to which America was destined to tend or lend. What are all the monuments of sculptured art compared with the
Nigga says, don't worry about Corey Mayo. Nigga, you don't speak truth. You speaking your opinion and your perspective, UTLS. Like I said, we don't respect niggas that's telling black Americans, so-called black Americans, Aborigines, that they come from Europe. When he's not even speaking on his own history or how he come from conquistadors. Leave it alone, UTLS. Mind your business. Like I told you.
monuments of society
Stay in a child's place.
or policy. The thoughts of a nation build more lasting edifices than the wealth of plundered kingdoms can rear. A people by thought may build an edifice whose ruins will destroy them in the final shock of nations. What has become of the Egyptians, whose edifice was monarchism? They are lost, and their language brings to us nothing but the remnants of servility and superstition. The edifice of servility and the edifice of Greek policy was popular liberty. Its ruins crusted the invaders and sent the oblivion of the laws and languages to 30 nations. But did the rubbish destroy the Greek people? No. Behold them springing from the ruins of 2,000 years and rebuilding the edifice of a popular constitution. Their first revolution, after a bloody sacrifice of 8 years, gained them a republic. Hardly had they, by European permission, secured their independence, when European monarchism denied them a constitution. Then followed that revolution of words, which bloodlessly continued till 1644, not sure, when the Greek people perforce made their kings sign their charter. The envoys of kings remonstrated, but in vain. The Greek people stood in its majesty. The centurion, senator, chief, notaris, like a rock of ages, resisted the threats and complaints of monarchs. It was a victory of bloodless fame, a worthy offset to Salamis. If the actions of Themistocles gave to the Attic dialect its association with grandeur, has not the sage of 100 winters, the immortal notaris, given to the popular dialect an association with intellectual national glory? The popular dialect of Greece, the spoken language of the common people, is by such noble mind and action elevated to a rank in being by the refined Attic, the soft Ionic, and the majestic Doric. The deeds and saying of such men as notaris should be recorded in the true popular dialect of the time, a dialect asserted by Voltaire to be the most harmonious of all modern languages. It is natural that the Greek of present day should be so. The waves of conquest have dashed about it, and the commerce of all the great nations of earth plays among the isles of Greece. 100 languages are daily spoken in that babble of the sea, and that focus of intercourse. It is natural thereof that the Greek language should possess all the beauties of foreign tongues, both in sound and expression. The Greeks are nearly all able to speak 2, 3, or often 5 languages besides their own. They may be
Wow.
languages. They may be called the linguist's nation. May not their exercise of the mind in studying other tongues be the cause of the beauty of their own? It therefore is useful to an American to study this tongue, the key of all others. Even the languages of the American Indian bear Greek footprints. The Mexican words signifying God is Teotl, whose root is evidently the Greek theos.
Yep.
The Western continent, named by Plato and the Egyptians Atlantis, and called the realm of Neptune in the works of the philosopher, could have been no other than America. The word Atlantis, compounded of 2 Mexican words, Atlantiscinco, meaning water god kingdom or Neptune's realm. The word Anahue, which denoted the empire of Montezuma, signifies near the water. But this name is not so ancient as that of Atlantis. Plato asserted that the Atlanteans were very warlike and also very ambitious to annex other countries to their own. They conquered Africa to the confines of Egypt and Europe to the borders of Greece. After these gigantic strides,
Who's the only people known in ancient time to go to Africa, Egypt, Europe? The Americans. You got the Algonquin conquest to the Mediterranean. You got the Golden Books of the Maya, how they went to West Africa, and then you got Queen of Mu, and how they went over there to the Eastern Hemisphere. You got a Katande Bongo and ancient civilizations of Egypt, all explaining how ancient Americans took civilization and other things to the Eastern Hemisphere. It's just that simple. It's that simple.
Atlanteans were very warlike and also very ambitious to annex other countries to their own. They conquered Africa to the confines of Egypt and Europe to the borders of Greece. After these gigantic strides to glory, they were sunk in the ocean in the midst of the shocks of a terrible earthquake, which lasted 9 days. Since that period, which was several centuries before Plato, no communications have existed between the eastern and western continents. The shoals and other dangers of the Atlantic had frightened seamen from that quarter.
Wow. That alone is just so many nails in the coffin right there.
From 1834?
Correct. Virginia.
Wow.
So most of my articles, I'll put the title, The Study of the Greek Language, Virginia, 1834.
That is extraordinary.
Can I ask you real quick, because I love this type of stuff.
Nice source.
I love reading old texts, grimoires, et cetera, et cetera.
Mm-hmm.
How do you begin? Is there a tool that you use for this? Because I find it so funny where there has been literally reptilian articles of, underground cities and all this stuff. And have you seen if they go in there and censor stuff at all, or like how does that work when you're navigating through these old? Because they're like newspaper scans, right?
Yeah. Every state has their own archive, and every country has their own archive. So I use my own local state archive, which is really amazing, especially when I'm like looking for something specific in my own state. But I use archive.org. I use Gallica. I use Library of Congress.
Make sure y'all use them sources
he's giving. If I'm looking for something specific, .org.
Make sure y'all use them.
But I use archive.org. I use Gallica. I use Library of Congress. But yeah, you can just, if I'm looking for something specific, let's say Florida, and I'm not having any luck on a congressional level, I'll go state level. I've been doing it so long now, it's really easy. But yeah, AI, it's a funny thing because I've spent so much time on these digital archives that you can see that it has changed. Like I can look up a specific phrase or specific set of words, and they won't give me the same results twice. And as time goes on, the results get less and less. Now, I don't know if that's necessarily censoring, because you can search the same phrase 10 times and get different articles. It's really weird. Either there's some kind of nefarious, I don't even want to say that. There's some kind of algorithm to it, whether it's purposeful or not. But yeah, I like you were saying, grimoires, from astrology to magic to language, especially language was my big one. The older you go, the better. And that's the same with any of these texts. America, especially on a congressional level, didn't start keeping records of newspapers until right after 1776. So like the first real archived newspapers are from 1777. And it's really thin. There's not much, obviously, because the more states get added to the union, the more information gets put onto the archive. Also, there was not much to America as we know it in the late 1700s. The Louisiana Purchase and everything west was terra incognita still. There was a bunch of savages, right? But, they knew better than that. So are you guys now, slowly learning that they knew exactly what was here, and they were just keeping it all under wraps. But yeah, those sources I just listed will get anyone buried for months and months. Gallica Archive, Library of Congress. You could look for years. I mean, I've got 5 years of this and 20,000 or so clippings and 6,000 posts.
It's Battlestar no, not Battlestar Galactica. You said Galaga?
Gallica. It's a French website.
Yeah.
It's a good one. It's a little glitchy just because cross country URL stuff is a little
I got you.
Glitchy, but it's still great. They have some of the, if you like old books, what you're talking about, that's where I would start.
That's 797,000. I'm gonna mute you, Longo, if you want to blow your nose, bro.
This hurricane is kicking up all these allergies. Sorry.
Yeah. No, you're good. I'm just saying I can mute you if you want, so you can blow your nose in peace.
I'll mute myself. That. Okay.
All right. So if you want, I'll bring up your screen and then you can take it from there. I was just curious because I know I prefer a physical copy of a book. I know Longo's familiar with books and he can appreciate them, but I don't have the room or the money sometimes because the books do get expensive and they take up a lot of room. So I like having a PDF copy, but you also run the risk of having something altered or not have power in order to access it. So again, that's just
I mean, my nickname's Analog. I kind of just chose that because I was wanting to before when I first had kids, I lived on a farm for 10 years and I didn't really have internet. I didn't have television, and I was trying to get away from electronics, and I definitely preferred having a physical copy, like you're saying. But
hey man, shout out to everybody in the building, man. If you're enjoying this live stream, thumb up the video, man. If you are enjoying this live stream, let me know, man. Thumb up the video, support the channel. Hey, I'm about to drop the link here in the next 15-20 minutes, man. We're gonna get through the rest of this fire ass information that we pulling out about Florida. We can break down. I'd love to get some of you brothers and sisters on here to chop it up a little bit. But yeah, we're gonna proceed to get into the rest of this video, man. So shout out to everybody in the building, man. It's very important for you guys to hit that like button, like the video, support the channel, all that good shit. Drop a fire emoji in the chat also if you can hear me loud and clear. Let's continue. We're just gonna take a quick look at some of these motherfucking photos. Now look at these. These buildings in the early 1900s, during the beginning of the industrial age. This is magnificent shit. Built right here on islands and shit. Like, how the fuck did they get the concrete in the islands on the island in the 1800s? Look at the beautiful ornamentation and design of this shit. Like, some of the designs of this shit is magnificent. For this shit to be in the 1800s, this can't be from the 1800s. According to their industrial age science, according to their own information, these motherfuckers couldn't even barely put up a log cabin to birth the president in the 1800s, 1865. How the fuck you got concrete structures with magnificent design and beautiful ornamentation, astronomically aligned? You gotta ask thyself that question, man. Shout out to Sister Betty in the chat. Hey, man, also, man, shout out to Sister Betty, man. Make sure y'all go subscribe to my Sister Betty channel, man. Chief Morning Thunder. They always talking about they founded it something. Bitch, leave it where you found it. And stop touching shit that don't belong to you. Didn't somebody ever tell these colonizers that? Hey, man, if you're enjoying the live stream, man, support the channel, man. It's very important for you guys to support the real, man. Support the real, man. Support the real. Make sure y'all subscribe to the channel too, man. If you ain't subscribed, subscribe. The link to the channel is to the StreamYard is in the chat. So make sure y'all come on, man. We can chop it up about some of this history y'all seen. This is a part 2. I will be doing a part 3 to this tomorrow. To finish up with Florida, man. Then we'll move on to Louisiana. We'll be breaking down every state, state by state, the ancient and lost history of every state. So I'm gonna be doing the state where you are real soon. You know what I mean? We got 240 people in the chat. I know y'all in one of the 50 states, so don't even trip. Don't even trip. I'm gonna be getting to your state real soon. So hopefully y'all enjoy and y'all, you know what I mean? Y'all respect what we got bringing. You heard? Hopefully y'all respecting it. You heard? The link is in the chat, by the way. Let's continue. The link is in the chat. How big these hallways and these corridors is, using these huge stone perfectly cut. Don't even look like it even has mortar in between it. Like, what type of science would you have to do to repeat this 1,000 times down this hallway? Magnificent shit right here. Look at these buildings in the background. It's like these buildings was here in the 1800s, yo. These are documented on 1,500 maps. They show castles similar to what you see in the background here on maps in the 15, 16, and 1700s. Seriously, just take a look at this. Beautiful ornamentation on this. Why would they build a fountain with such design like this in the 1800s? City Hall. This is City Hall, man. City Hall in Corrales. Look how beautiful this ornamentation is. You will build a building like this for just a city hall with this such acute detailing. Look at just the detailing in this. The detailing is crazy. The detailing is crazy. With ornamentation, with crazy design. And this is something that they built as they first time trying to build shit like this. So they first time trying to build shit like this in the beginning of the industrial age, they built some magnificent shit like this. They don't have no trial and error. They ain't got no fucked up shit that they started with. And as time go on, mind you, they built this first. And as time go on, they build shittier and less complex and less design with less ornamentation attached to your buildings. That doesn't make any sense. That lets me know that they didn't do it. They founded this. And this belongs to a prior advanced lost civilization that occupied America. Shout out to Sister Betty, Chief Morning Thunder. What's going on, sister?
Hey, brother, I swear I love when you do these, you and Root Word do these old building structures. This says a lot, and I can't get to the bottom of it, and I hope y'all do. This is shit that's hidden, and yo, they don't have no records app
Oh,
of who actually built this shit, and it's starting to make me think that we were another
well,
place.
I'm starting to
That
understand that our ancestors knew that it would be corruption. And so that they didn't write it in literature form to document who wrote it. They wrote it in a secret language that's designed inside of the structure of the building. It's called geometry. And I believe that they tell the story of who exactly created it within the design and the architecture.
damn, I didn't even think about that. See, this is why I swear I love when you do the old structure because it freaks me out. Like you said, Ab, it doesn't add up for these buildings that have been built in the 1800s. It had to be earlier.
Right.
Oh, I love when
We're
you
gonna
do
have
these.
to put together a nice little pay-per-view on the science, going all the way back to 0 to 9, geometry, architectural engineering, going back thousands of years, and
Oh yeah,
how it would have progressed if it would have stayed continuous. Building something like a pyramid, the science of a pyramid would ultimately evolve into structures like this, and I can prove it. So we're gonna break that down too, man. I think we're gonna do a pay-per-view to this, man. I think we're gonna
yeah.
break.
You have to, Ab. Y'all hear that? So now Ab Power is gonna start doing his monthly pay-per-views, and I'm gonna help him coordinate it. I love doing this. The one
Yep.
Ab TV had last night on DNA
Phenomenal.
was
That was
awesome.
phenomenal.
Oh my
Phenomenal.
God. I learned shit that I did not know that Ancestry only used 4 damn countries. That's horrible. So now that tells me when you do that Ancestry shit, they're gonna put you in one of them 4 countries no matter what.
No matter
So
what.
now,
No matter
now,
what.
now we setting up one for Ad Power to do his pay-per-view monthly and Zoom. And Ab, I'll be talking to you this evening for the date you want. We already talking tomorrow. So
Yep.
y'all be on the listen now. It's gonna be fire. And I think what did you say how much it's gonna cost? Only 10, right?
Yeah, it'd be only $10 to check out the
Yep,
pay-per-view.
the pay-per-view. So we doing this monthly. It's it's better in Zoom when they do these lectures because he can get raw and he don't have to worry about his channel being shut down. He can say the shit that he want to say on YouTube but can't. So I'm helping him set up his pay-per-view now, me and Rocky. So yes, coming soon, y'all. Very soon.
Yep,
So
coming real soon. Hey,
real
Wolf.
soon.
Hey, Wolf in the chat. Come on and explain to me how what I'm talking about is pseudo. Don't be a dick eater and a nut chaser in the chat. Don't speak like a man. Don't be a sissy. Hey, we got True Food on the panel with us. What's up, True Food? What up, True Food? You gotta unmute yourself. But yeah, y'all be on the lookout for that, man. Pay-per-view coming up real soon, man. We'll be giving an announcement sometime this week.
I cannot wait until yours, Ab. You know I'm in that bitch.
Yeah, we're gonna put together some heat, man. We got some heat. And I got some shit I've been wanting to drop.
Yep. He get to say what he want raw in the Zoom. You ain't gotta worry about them knocking your shit off.
What's going on, True Food?
You know what? I think she was having trouble last night getting in the Zoom.
Man, listen, Wolf, if you ain't coming on this panel to speak like a man, put your bitch ass in timeout now, nigga. Man, your bitch ass in timeout. Straight up. Shout out to everybody in the building, man. We don't take trolls lightly over here, man. Cause you get the opportunity to get on this panel and speak like a man. We don't do the Twitter fingers and chatty pat.
This is gonna be so awesome because now, Ab, we get lecturing raw from you, education, and Zoom, and Ab TV is gonna be doing his monthly lecturing class on different topics where he could speak and share shit that he can't share on YouTube. So that's gonna help the community a lot.
Yeah, I think that's gonna be dope, man. I think that's gonna be dope for the people for sure.
You know what? Also gonna be fire coming from you, Ad Power, when you start teaching the youth in Zoom with their parents' permission. Oh, we got it all set up for you.
Yeah, I can't wait to start teaching them, man.
You start teaching people's children because a lot of the people in our community really don't know where to start with teaching their children. And when you providing them with the monthly class to the youth, it's gonna be freaking phenomenal. I'm a damn sure make sure my nieces and nephews are in your youth teaching classes. They gonna love you.
Yeah, I can't wait, man. I can't wait to get there talking to the future, the youth. You know, which is do this for. What's going on, Supernatural? What's going on, brother?
Not much. What's going on, Big Dog? Yeah. What's going on, Sister Becky?
Hi, Suda.
How you doing?
Great. Just feeling good working with my brothers and Empress Homie gonna be teaching lecturing too in Zoom. So
that's what's up. Hey, yep. I was hopping on because my bad, Ab. Hey, I was
Go ahead, brother. You got the flow.
I was saying that I was hopping on because on the video they mentioned about the English language coming from America. So my wife, she's from Guyana. So we was talking and she was telling me
I don't know if you cut out, brother.
No, I'm here. I'm here. My bad. Yeah, she was I had said the Betty talking, so I want to talk over her.
Oh no, I think you got a delay. You might have to jump off and come right back on. I think you got a delay.
All right, cool. I'm gonna do that.
Yes, yeah, all right. Yes, Sister Betty ain't said nothing in a minute. Yeah, I think you got a delay. Jump off and come back on. And, we'll hear you. I don't know why you hear Sister. He might be listening to it on his phone too. That might be part of the reason as well. He probably got a delay. True Food, if you can hear us now and see if your mic is working, unmute yourself and speak. Peace and blessings. Shout out to True Food.
Oh,
You hear me now? Yeah, I hear you a little bit.
All right, cool. Hey, what's up, AP? What's up, everybody? How y'all doing?
Man, everything good. How about yourself?
All right. What I wanted to say was I watched that live stream you did with them two Africans and them two Mexicans, bro. And they're trying to tell us that we was Homo erectus or whatever the hell. That live stream had me dying laughing, bro. And
they slow.
I'm a truck driver. Huh?
I said them niggas slow as hell.
Oh yeah. I'm like, like first off, how Mexico gonna tell us about us? They don't even know where they come from. 90% of Mexicans is freaking Asians. But that's besides the point. I'm not gonna go there. But I'm a truck driver, man, so I'll be driving around the country all the damn time, right? And when I look at some of the names of these cities and stuff, I be like, well, where the hell these names come from? You know what I'm saying? Like, what language was always spoken? And then there was always the question, what language did the Kemetic speak? Turns out the shit be right in our fucking faces. They can't hide nothing. If they learned the majority of their stuff from the Kemetics, which is us, then they learned our language, made us forget our language, and then go from there. Because wouldn't it make sense if you're going to indoctrinate people with Catholicism, right, and Christianity, what language would you make that book in? The language that the people speak, right? It's not like they're going to teach us Latin themselves. They didn't teach us Greek themselves.
Right.
The first book was made in Algonquin, which is a form of Latin, which is a form of freaking Greek. Everything all goes back to Latin because that's the language that we all spoke. So now when I tell people, yo, you do realize that we came up with English and Latin, they look at me like I'm fucking crazy. I'm like, shit, hey, it is what it is, though.
Yep.
Yeah, I forgot about the first Bible being in the Algonquin language. Damn, I really forgot about that.
I'm back on that.
I did a building like in 2019.
Hey, so I'm back. I was talking to my wife, man. So we constantly talking about like languages and where things come from. So she's from Guyana. So in Guyana, they speak English. It's the largest, I guess, South American country that speaks English. And I was asking her, man, like who taught y'all that language? And she says that besides her being Arawakan, she said English is the only language they spoke. So I got a neighbor next door. He's from Nicaragua. So I was talking to him. So it's inside this country. I forgot the name of the area, but it's mainly where a lot of so-called black people stay at. The only language they speak is English. So last night, me and my wife brought up a map of like Great Britain, England, all these places, and we asked ourselves, how in the hell does this massive language come from this small ass place? When you look at Europe, which is very small, it has all these countries surrounding it that speak mainly a German, Gaelic freaking language, but this smaller area only speaks English, and it doesn't make any sense. But then that video I think you played a couple of days ago when the guy said that the Celtics were traveling back and forth to America, and I think the black Celtics, not the white ass ones or whatever, and they were coming back and forth, learning the language, going back and teaching the people. That's the only way that I can see that English will be over there, because if you look at every last country in Europe, they don't speak English. There's only one place.
And another way you can look at it is that the people that we call in royals of England today is not the royals of England in the past. We know that these people were heavily melanated, complected people that had very close ties to the America. So I'm alluding to that the ancient Americans also settled into what we call royal England over there.
Correct.
The same castles that
I'm gonna add something to that.
Stayed in, all that. Go ahead, y'all got it.
I'm gonna add something to that too. How the heck did the Spanish teach them English if they only spoke Spanish?
Boom.
Down there in South America.
Right. And then if Spanish comes from Spain, why don't they speak Spanish? Why didn't they speak Spanish in Spain prior to 1492?
There you go. You're right about that, because my guy says that in Nicaragua, the only people that speak Spanish are going to be like these Asian looking, like the Spanish people, the ones you see now that look like a little short Migos or whatever. Those are the only ones that speak it. And so I started thinking about, when the Portuguese or the so-called Spanish were transporting all these Asians to South America and stuff like that, who taught them that language? The people who brought them on them slave ships to South America, which means that the people there in South America already spoke a variable or some kind of English language already, and they just got taken over by all these slaves coming in and making like the Spanish language the dominant language of South America.
Right.
Porquero Maquitu.
Man, hold on. We got Aboriginal first on here. What up with it? AKA King Kaz. What's going on, King Kaz?
What's good?
Kaz, nigga.
I had to tap in, bro. I heard y'all saying only the Asian looking folks speak Spanish, but I know plenty of black Cubans that speak Spanish. and Brazilians and speak Portuguese. Matter of fact, I dated a girl that was Garifuna, and she was black, and she spoke and they could trace some of their people back to like the Taino
I
and different
mean,
people. Some of them did.
technically anybody could speak Spanish nowadays based off of colonization. But
Correct.
what we ultimately saying is that you should find Cubans and other people that's attached to the Western Hemisphere speaking forms of English and Latin because English and Latin is forms of indigenous language, sir.
I mean, they took some long words. Like, okay,
No,
so
they didn't just take long words. A vast majority of the English and Spanish languages contributed of the Aboriginal indigenous languages, and I
I
can
mean,
pull.
we can go back. We can go back to what we call England, Albion, or whatever, and we
So
can
let me ask you a
find those
question,
languages
guys.
there.
The English that we speak today, with the English alphabet that we see today, was that spoken in England, right, in 1500s?
I mean, most of it was spoken with in England. We got words that we added today, like with technology and
No,
language
Come
updates
on,
too.
dude.
hold on, King Cash. You gonna just sit here and lie to the people like that, bro?
I mean, you didn't have the internet in
No, but
the
they have
1500s, and
documented
internet is a
literature
newer
today.
word, and we using
They
that.
got
That's called
literature
English
from
language.
the 1500s. And when you read literature from England in the 1600s, is it in English language that we see it and spoken today?
That's what they call the what is it? Was it the Queen's English? They got the King's English and the Queen's English.
No, no,
So
no,
in the
no,
Nah,
no,
United States, we
dude.
were speaking the
no,
King's
no,
English.
It can't
Have you ever
cash.
heard of that?
I've been to the UK, bro. So when you go to the UK, you got different sections of the UK, United Kingdom, and you got Great Britain and stuff like that. But people speak different forms. If you want to call it English, you got some forms you can't even freaking understand because the language is basically going back to more of a Germanic language. Now you got the people of highborn society to where you can understand what they're saying in their form of English, but the language itself of English did not come from England. And you just said it was called Albion, so they spoke a language of the people that was over there, and they played a little psyops on us by calling that place England
Yeah,
to make you think that the dominant language actually came from there when it didn't. They
if
don't
that
speak what
doesn't
we
make
speak, my
sense,
man.
then we can read Shakespeare. We can like read
Nigga,
Shakespeare's poem,
you
Old
reading
English, in
a
the
seven,
Bible
you reading
as
a
Hold
seven
Shakespeare.
on, bro.
copy of
Here's the
it.
thing about it, bro. The English, because when we talk about English, they say that okay, the whole thing about English was it's a pidgin language. It was used in ports, right? I'll give you. This is why I told you. This is why I asked you, AP, can you do one about Louisiana or New Orleans specifically? Because New Orleans was the biggest port up here. It's not like we had different languages and we were talking to everybody in all these different languages. No, English was used by us, right? So when you say the Queen of England and England made the English, it's like no, it's not. It all comes from Latin, which is the original language that we spoke, because you have words like video. Video, we look at video as in like, oh, I'm gonna take a video with this phone and we can watch this video on YouTube. No, to be honest with you, the word video came from Latin, which is pronounced video because V's in
Mm.
Latin were W's. So how did that word video come from Latin then?
I mean, we could trace
If
Latin to
the word
Rome.
right,
They speak
if the word
Latin. They
was
still
made
speak
in
Latin in
Latin
the
and just
Catholic
changed
Church.
into the English language.
They still speak Latin,
You right about
original
that.
Latin in the Catholic Church. You know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah, but they had to be taught that, brother.
you go to
They
these
had to be taught
churches.
that.
Hello?
You said what?
They had to be taught that language. Latin is
Okay,
not the
yes.
original language of Rome. They had to be taught that. So these people, the church people, the Catholic people had to come back and forth to America. They had to learn this language because it's a language of high intelligence, of dual uses. And then they brought it back to their people of high society and they taught their people. So it's a language of mysticism
Bro, that's not
inside their
true
country.
because it was spoken in
Come on,
Rome,
dude.
bro. It's like how we
Not
use
everybody
Greek.
spoke Latin in
It's
Rome,
like how
bro.
we use Greek in our for our like medicines and different things. It's the same
Not
thing. Like Latin and Greek was considered a higher language over there. You know what I'm saying? Over the other
But
languages
dude,
because they continent.
most people were illiterate in those languages, and the languages that they spoke was not of a high society Latin. They
Yeah,
spoke some
the
other shit
common
for the common tongue people.
the Latin. Have you ever watched Sparta? Have you ever watched Spartacus when Rome went
I,
over
wa-
to Spain and they conquered Spain and they took slaves from over
I
there,
don't believe that
over that
goddamn
way?
story, man. Get the Hollywood shit out of here.
You said what?
You talking? I say I don't believe that story. You talking Hollywood?
No, Spartacus existed. All that existed before Hollywood. I mean, this is the Romans
Brother,
documented.
the
The
first
Romans documented their conquest. They documented about Hannibal and all that. And you know what they documented it in? Latin. They didn't document it in the other. They didn't document it in Chinese. Nothing. It was documented in Latin. We wouldn't have Roman script and Roman numerals or anything like that. How would we even know what they were talking about and making all these plays about them if they didn't document the language themselves, in their language themselves?
But who said that those people that documented were Romans? Again, you on this channel, watching channel almost every day, and you see the manipulation that these people do when they add 1,000 years to history, take 1,000 years away from history, and then they start inserting stuff to make you think that they were the ones who created these languages and created all this stuff. Come on, man.
Yeah, I mean, y'all concept of this language come over here is modern day. This stuff doesn't even go past 2015. Y'all just came up with this stuff. It was the last couple of years saying that it come from over here. But if you go to the Cherokee, you go to the Apache, you go to any people, they can still speak their language to this day.
They speak a language that was taught to them,
They
bro.
they speak a language that's connected to their people, which they should, and which is a Siberian-based language located in Siberia. When you
Cherokee is Siberian.
you're hearing English dialect, you're hearing.
Hold on, bro. You gotta understand, bro. Most of these,
you're hearing shit from.
So Cherokee is Siberian, then, right?
That's not the original language, Cass, brother.
Cherokee is a modern language. The Cherokee language has only been written and understood since the 1600s, and the people that communicated it was actually Asian and Siberian people. Yes. The people that
yes, they are. Them the $5 Indians that we be talking about.
These are
Bro, but y'all
Native
saying
Americans.
they have a Siberian language, but y'all claiming a Latin language, which we already know it comes from Rome.
American Latin.
No. You're confusing the shit. We're not saying Cherokee is the original language here in America. We're saying it's a pseudo language.
Yeah.
But how can y'all say y'all Cherokee, but y'all
English
haven't even
today?
documented?
We saying English today is a formulated, amalgamated version of Anglo-Saxon Normandy, Latin, and other indigenous languages conglomerated together. Indigenous words and language and definition making the majority of the English and Spanish language. So what I'm saying is, you don't have a clue when you look into this same lettering, when you look into the English language, when you look into the alphabetical system or the evolutionary process of linguistics. So you're still stuck on one particular thing. You don't even understand how the Nahuatl language, right, or the indigenous Algonquin language transformed to what we call Bambata language today.
Hey, think this. So the actual Cherokee language that they speak now was created by a damn German or whatever, a German linguistic. On top of that, remember, I was throwing shit on this man.
That German.
How was that when we could find black and white pictures before this man?
Nigga, they wasn't speaking. They wasn't speaking what they speak now.
I got a question for you.
Hey, we know who created. His name was Chief Sequoia. Like he said, he was a German mixed Native American.
I mean, a lot of Native Americans got mixed, just like black people.
Nah,
like
they had to go to schools to learn these languages, bro. Remember,
German, bro.
Yeah,
y'all can't say Latin, and we know Latin. They documented the.
Let me ask you a question, brother.
Hannibal's army in Latin. So how can you,
brother? Let me ask you a question.
Here and then using it back during the Punic Wars.
Well, just like they use various different things, like Amsterdam now has an army, but we know Amsterdam is a recent name. We know that the place that we call New York was called Amsterdam. So we know that they take names, they misplace it, and they attach their culture or their artificial culture to that name. So when you look and have an insert on history, you're looking at the culture of the people you're looking at, you're going to have an artificial understanding based off of that insert.
So if I look up the Albion language from back in the day, it's gonna be totally different. So that's what I'm gonna do. And I'm gonna come back on the
Yes,
show.
that's all you listen. That's all you have to do
I'm
because
gonna
we
do
know
that.
England was called Albion. So when you go and look up the Albion language, it's not going to be nowhere near in lettering, definition, word formulation to the English language.
So was
Or
Shakespeare speaking the Albion language?
Say what?
Was Shakespeare speaking the Albion language?
No, he spoke Latin.
When was Shakespeare around? Man, listen, when was Shakespeare around? Hold on. When was hold on, watch this. When was Shakespeare around, man?
What I mean, he's the one that's credited with
what time frame was Shakespeare around, bro? It's easy question. What time frame
was he around? 1600, 1600.
Oh,
1600s, right?
Yeah.
They were speaking English by the 1600s, bro.
Yeah,
the English that we see it today, and we got letters written in the English that we see it written in today.
Right, but like y'all said, most of the
no, you don't.
Everybody spoke that language. Like you, I mean, you can go over to the Ireland.
Can you share my
screen
there, Power? Yeah, I'm gonna show you a screen.
You know what language they spoke? German. German has nothing to do with Latin, bro.
Bro, Germanic language. English comes from the Germanic language, and they had Latin.
No, it does not. That's a lie that they told. Let me ask you a question.
Because Rome,
yeah,
England, they
killed all their dictionary. Hold on, one at a time. Hold on, y'all. Hold on, one at a time, y'all. Root, we're trying to get this shit off. He got the screen. Sharon, go ahead, Root. You got the floor for a second. Go ahead.
I'm just saying, everybody talking English, and that's all we talk English. Do anybody know when the first English dictionary was made? I'm gonna give it to you though, since I'm just gonna show it to everybody since they don't know. And this is the first time English was ever made by a man named Samuel Johnson. It only had 1,500 words in it. But look what the English language was made for in 1776 when we was falling. Look what it was made for. Just give me 1 second. Just go down to it. It says, Dictionary of the English Language, which the words are deduced from their originals and and illustrated in their different significations by examples of the best writers, to which are prefixes. This is the beginning of English. In 1770s and 1760s, when our language over here, now I'm just sticking to English right now. That's what I'm trying to say. Can anybody, like, y'all talking this English shit, can y'all rebut this shit? This is not our language.
Yeah, you got a Robert Cradre who wrote a table alphabetical published in 1604 displaying the dictionary about the English language. It
That's
was
an alphabetical order. That's not a dictionary.
No, what did you say? No, it was an English dictionary published in 1604 by Robert Cradre. It was a 3,000 word definitionary book. Had 3,000 words in it. You know, I'm
gonna show it to me. I'm gonna show when you look at that, it's not gonna say it was a dictionary.
Bro, okay. Let me pull it up right now. Come on now, Root. You know you talking to?
Oh, I got my stalker, Tay-Shonda, up here with my picture up. What's up, Tay-Shonda?
Here it is in English, right? Here it is in, here is Latin in America during the Civil War, where they took our language, Latin, that's on all the laws, and changed it over to English. That's what you call the habeas corpus when they suspended our body. Because you know the word habeas corpus, when you suspend that, that word is Latin. They suspended our habeas corpus with Bouvier's dictionary. And they turned the words from Latin to English. And then they did it in the times of antebellum, which is Latin. You know what I'm saying? This is pertaining to the Aboriginals, Indigenous, Blacks, Indians, whatever the fuck we call ourselves. I'm just trying to say a lot of this stuff is Latin, and it's showing that we was the port people. It's showing what Aboriginal power was showing in Florida. That I ain't gonna say this was Rome or Atlantis, but this was Rome and Atlantis. This was some wonderful shit around here. This is when they say antebellum. This is from 1812. That's antebellum period. Every motherfuckers be taking our history to 1860, talking about, oh, it's a 5-year war. This was a 50-year war in America. And before the war, we was beautiful people over here living in shit like Aboriginal power was showing. And we had ports and was balling. But I digress off that. Thank you.
Nah, you dropping some heat, bro. Shout out to everybody in the building. We got UTLS in the building. What's up with it?
What up, fam?
What's going on? I know you got some heat.
Yeah, you let me have it earlier, man. Damn, I'm just talking.
Don't take offense to it. You know I'll be keeping it real.
Nah, man, I'll be chilling, man. But nah, basically, man, what I was saying, like, dude brought that Black European stuff, man. Before that, we thought everybody coming across here and the people over there was white. So I don't know what you got with him or whatever else he got going on. Just that part for me was enough to take me like to where we at now. But check the email, man. I got the evolution of the alphabet, right? And I want probably root words or somebody look at that. Somebody with a deeper understanding.
You sent it to my email?
Yeah, the Zelda.
Hey, y'all, every country comes with a language. So England, the country of England was made in 1707. It's called the unification of. It was called the unification of Scotland, England, and Ireland. Before 1707, there was no such land as England. So when you follow a constitution, that's when you follow the language. You can't have a language of English in the 1600s when there wasn't a country of England in the 1600s. Oh, my fault. And the word Albion, that's a Latin word.
What I'm trying to understand, I think most of that stuff was a lie. Like all them countries saying they had language. I think it was one world universal language that we spoke, and everybody else made languages off of what we would speak. See right there? Can you make it see the top where they can see the name? Because I can't pull it up on my okay. Like we already know they say the Phoenicians brought the phonics, right? So we know just to keep themselves in the talk, they put that Hebrew and Aramaic in there just to connect to the Bible. But if you look down, even at the Greek and all that, the alphabet is not even complete. It's only complete till you get to the Latin. So I think it went from Phoenician to Latin, and then like Root just broke down, they made the Latin to the English, and everything else probably came off of that.
Just like I said, that's how I know the Egyptians were the ones that actually spoke Latin, because when you think about the history, man, it's always
I gave you another email to even break down. My bad, bro. I didn't mean to cut you off. I didn't know you was talking. But I sent him another email. If you pull that up, it break down even the rock cave art all the way down to the Egyptian hieroglyphs to the Latin. It's like one world language. Like right there, that's too deep for me, man. I've been looking at that for months, but I'm trying to get it together, man. Root words need this. Send this to root words. Like you see the rock cave art where they was using the horse, the cow heads and stuff.
Hey, that shit fake, bro. I'm a language guru. I just need my 1 minute to talk when y'all done. That shit fake, bro.
You got the flow, Root. Do your thing.
It's on you.
Do your thing, 21. Do your thing. Root words.
Yeah, my fault. I thought my mic was on. I was like, can you share my screen for me?
Yeah, it's
like my one brother said, it was one language. I'm gonna have to agree with him on that when you look at a so-called secret to us Americans called the Indo-European family tree, which means all the first people to go into Europe. It ain't called outro. It ain't called leaving. It's called going into that motherfucker. But anyway, when you get to the western part of it, which is the Italic Latin and which is the Germanic, it's gonna put old up there because that means original Latin dialect. And then you're going to go down here to all the Germans, East German, West German, North German. Anywhere German was at, it was a Latin dialect, the old High German. That's vulgar Latin. Old Dutch, that's original Latin dialect. Old English, original Latin dialect. Old Frisian, original Latin dialect. Let's keep on going. There's so many, but this is a week when you can go to all these and they'll show you everything was dealing with one language. Even in Persia, old original Latin dialect, and that's what I get to. And they'll say Latin came into Europe. Latin is an Indo, which means it went into Europe and made our children. That shit ain't from Europe. It went into Europe. That's what I'm trying to tell people. Like, damn it, there's so many different things. And then when you just look, let me say, damn, what was I just going to get? One more thing. When we look at the word Creek, which is Aboriginal to America, they're going to tell you in the 1800s, a modern theory put forth by German classical historian George, whatever the fuck his name is, Boussault in 1800s, took the letter K. Took the letter K, and y'all know what he took it from. Y'all know where he took it from. He took it from the Latin. Here you go, Latin. So the word is it is not g. It's fucking the Creeks. And that's where all of our colleges is at, is on the Greek letters. Oh, I mean the creeks and the rivers. So I'm just trying to open up people's brains that, man, we might need to follow these words. And there ain't no such thing as them hieroglyphic ass shits. But I digress, man. Thank you, bro.
Root, that's fire, bro. What you just said, what I said. I said I think the Phoenician went straight to the Latin. And everything else came out of that. Even if it came from the Phoenician, the Latin might have been first. From what you just broke down, we said the same thing, brother. Don't make everything a debate.
No, we ain't saying nothing the same. Hey, hit my screen for me one more time, because I'm gonna show y'all what the Phoenicians mean. I ain't trying to be an asshole or nothing. It's a different science, man. But I'm agreeing that we was under 1. It was 1. I'm saying my opinion of it. We was under 1. What's the right word? 1 language, according to them. Damn, why ain't my shit working? But when you look at the word Phoenician, it goes to the word Phoenix, what it goes to the word sound. You know what I'm saying? So that shit was everywhere, but they're trying to say the shit comes from America. Because that's where the word goes to. It's Phoenician. It's dealing with the sound. They just throw an E in there. It ain't Phoenician. It's Phoenician. The phono. People that taught language. Is it that hard? There's some motherfuckers that was going around here teaching language in every city. Just they saying that this shit is compared to Phoenix. So when you etymology words is dealing with the palm tree, all that good shit, you know, I'm just putting that shit to America. A whole bunch of teachers that's dealing with the Greek letter. Oh, my fault, I mean the Creek letter. That shit Aboriginal to America. No, that shit ain't from that Egypt bullshit over there. It ain't from Morocco over there. It ain't from Europe. It ain't from none of that bullshit. We went over there and taught them motherfuckers how to talk. And it says it in the Indo-European family tree right here. Hold on one second. I even got it up here. Latin America. This shit is called Latin fucking America. It's not called nothing else but Latin America. Europe is not called nothing Latin. This is called Latin America. So when you look at Latin America on the European family tree, they say these are the motherfuckers that came into Europe and made these motherfuckers. French, Spanish, Portuguese, Italian, Romans, and the Castilians and all them are children, bro. According to them. But I digress off that. Thank you.
Fire. Bravo.
Stay fire.
Bro.
Yeah, man. So, man, I'm probably gonna leave it on that though, man. I got to take care of a few things, but I am gonna do another live stream later on tonight, man. So, I'm gonna do a free smoke. I'm gonna do a free smoke build. Make sure y'all tap in. I appreciate everybody for tapping in too, man. Truthful, Supernatural, UTLS, Root Words. Shout out to everybody in the building, man. Root Words, you're gonna have to start doing more builds on this topic, man. Take your time. You know what I'm saying? Just go through it very, very methodically, man. I think it'll be a dope build. People enjoy that. Shout out to everybody in the building.
Thanks a lot, bro. Thanks a lot.
Yeah, for sure, man. You already know, man. Shout out to everybody.
We all on the same team. I just don't like shit going to. I don't like shit just going to over cross seas until they can prove that shit. That's
Yeah,
all.
yeah.
Can y'all hear me? Can y'all hear me?
Who is it?
Oh, that's me. That's truthful. That's me.
Yeah, I hear you, bro. Appreciate you coming through.
Oh, yeah,
Hey, shout out to my brother. Shout out to my brother Tayshawn too, man. Tayshawn just left off. He didn't get a chance to say nothing, but man, shout out to my brother Tayshawn, man. I want to let Tayshawn get it in before he got out of here. Shout out to my brother Tayshawn. Sean, be safe while you out there moving around too, brother. Shout out to Mr. Aboriginal Smith. What up, cuz? Top of the morning. Top of the morning. TT, what up? What up? I'll see you on the next one, man. I'm gonna be doing another one later on, so make sure y'all tap in. Make sure y'all tap in. Shout out to Willie Jones and Louis Luck, not a coincidence. I see everybody in the building. With that being said, we out of here. Make sure y'all be safe, be aware, stay vigilant, stay dangerous. So, brother,
peace.
And we out. Peace.
Peace, my brother. Thanks, man. Whatever it takes. The alleyway.
Coco, this your season right now.
They won't see me. They won't let me, yeah. I gotta sleep with one eye open, tripping, making me nervous. I take a piss, my hand on the strap. I know the eyes wanna murder. I got a feeling, keep my stomach paranoid, yeah. I won't let them, yeah. They won't see me, yeah. I gotta sleep with one eye open, tripping, making me nervous. I take a piss, my hand on the strap. I know the eyes wanna murder. I got a feeling, keep my stomach paranoid, yeah. I can't let them, yeah. They won't see me, yeah. I put attention, all in my blood, all in my veins. They started with Perky, now that hair run up his veins. You started with serving, now them drugs drove you insane. Started with dealing, I grew up with killers, they taught me the game. I got some niggas that die behind, and that shit won't never the same. I know some niggas that lie behind, and that bullet had his name. Ain't no reason to cry about, cause that shit won't never change. MTF the 4th and P, my niggas can't get out the game. I gotta sleep with one eye open, tripping, making me nervous. I take a piss, my hand on the strap. I know the eyes wanna murder. I got a feeling, keep my stomach paranoid, yeah. I won't let them, yeah. They won't see me, yeah. I gotta sleep with one eye open, tripping, making me nervous. I take a piss, my hand on the strap. I know the eyes wanna murder. I got a feeling, keep my stomach paranoid, yeah. I can't let them, yeah. They won't see me, yeah.
Lost, see, I glossed to it, shit ain't been the same. Heard the ops talking to the